My name is Alina. I'm 31, and for most of my life, I've lived in the shadow of someone I loved more than I should have, my younger sister, Mira. She's the kind of woman people write songs about. Effortless, charming, beautiful in a way that made you feel inadequate just standing next to her, but you'd never say it because you'd be too busy being mesmerized. Growing up, everyone adored her. Teachers, neighbors, even strangers. She had this laugh, a little too loud, a little too free, that made everyone want to be near her. And then there was me. I was the calm one, the reliable one, the good listener, the one who got good grades and stayed out of trouble, the one who learned early that fading into the background was the safest place to be. And yet, despite everything, I loved her. I admired her, even when she forgot my birthday, even when she made jokes that cut a little too deep, even when she kissed the boy I liked in high school and laughed about it. Because that's what sisters do, right? They forgive, they protect, they stay. I met Elijah when I was 27. He was different from the men Mira dated. Quiet, thoughtful, and steady. A pediatric surgeon with calm, searching eyes and a voice that never rose above a whisper. We met at a hospital fundraiser. I was managing event logistics. He was there on behalf of the children's unit. He wore a navy suit and scuffed shoes. That detail stuck with me. Clean, elegant, but grounded. He asked me about my work, actually listened. And when he laughed at something I said, not out of politeness, but real laughter, I felt something I hadn't felt in years. Seen. Safe. It wasn't a whirlwind romance. It was a slow burn. Dinners turned into weekends. Weekends turned into quiet mornings, brushing teeth together, one toothbrush beside the other. There was a stillness between us that felt like peace, like exhale. For the first time in my life, I felt chosen. Not compared, not tolerated. Chosen. We dated for 3 years. Then he proposed. Simple. No theatrics, just him kneeling in our kitchen, holding a ring and saying, "There's no version of my life where you're not in it." And I said yes, through tears, through disbelief, through fear, because sometimes when you've been invisible for so long, being loved feels suspicious. Then came the weekend that changed everything. My brother Jonah was getting married in Napa Valley. A 3-day wedding at an estate that looked like it was ripped out of a European film. Rolling vineyards, ancient olive trees, stone patios glowing with string lights. Elijah and I were both in the wedding party. So was Mira. The moment she arrived, the energy shifted. She showed up in a red dress that clung to her body like it was painted on. Her hair was darker now, long waves, perfectly tousled. And the moment she saw Elijah, she smiled in that way she does, like she's already inside the joke. "Elijah," she purred. "Looking good, Doc." She leaned in for a hug that lasted just a second too long. I told myself it was nothing. I always did. That first night, everything seemed perfect. Wine, laughter, toasts. Mira was in rare form. entertaining everyone with stories, dancing with the groomsmen, slipping seamlessly into every conversation like she belonged there more than anyone else. I watched her from a distance, admiring, a little envious, but mostly just relieved as she seemed happy, because happy Mira was less dangerous. I caught Elijah watching her once, just briefly, his eyes lingering on the way she threw her head back when she laughed. When I teased him about it, he smiled and said, "She's magnetic. You're lucky to have a sister like her." I laughed, but something inside me pulled tight. That night, as we lay in bed, he turned away from me sooner than usual. No kiss on the shoulder, no whispered, "I love you." I told myself he was just tired, but deep down something in me stirred. A whisper I'd silenced too many times. Pay attention. The next morning started like any other. Sunlight spilling through vineyard-facing windows, soft linens tangled at our feet. Elijah was already up, sitting on the patio with a cup of coffee, scrolling through his phone. He looked calm, focused. But he didn't look up when I joined him, didn't greet me with the usual warm eyes or "Good morning, love." He just handed me a mug without a word. Small things, but that's how betrayal works. It doesn't always explode. Sometimes it erodes. Later that day, we had the wedding rehearsal. Mira was everywhere, helping Camille with her hair, offering to fix Jonah's boutonniere, directing people where to stand like she was co-hosting the event. People loved her, and honestly, she was helpful. At least, on the surface. But the cracks were forming. I noticed how she brushed Elijah's arm in passing, how she whispered things into his ear that made him laugh, the kind of laugh he used to save for me. I told myself I was being insecure, ridiculous, that it was just my mind playing tricks on me. Until I walked in on something I couldn't unsee. I was returning from the powder room, taking a shortcut through one of the side corridors of the estate. I heard Mira's voice first, sharp, not playful like usual. "Listen, I told you, it's happening this weekend. I just need you to be ready. The transfer has to go through before Sunday." I paused, unsure if I'd misheard. Then her tone softened instantly, that sweet, airy voice she used when she wanted something. "Of course I trust you, babe. This is going to set us both up for life." My heart hammered. Who was she talking to? She ended the call the moment she saw me. "Alina," she said brightly, like nothing happened. "Oh my God, you scared me. I was just yelling at the florist. They messed up the centerpiece order. Total chaos." She smiled wide. Too wide. But her phone was blue. And I distinctly remember seeing her use a red case phone earlier that morning. 2 phones? I tried to brush it off. Maybe she always had side hustles. Maybe one was for work. Maybe she was telling the truth. But something wasn't sitting right. That night was the rehearsal dinner. Mira gave a toast. She stood up in front of 80 guests, eyes misty, voice trembling as she spoke about love that feels like a lighthouse, and how lucky Jonah and Camille were to have found each other. Everyone clapped. My mother wiped away tears. And Elijah watched her the entire time. When I looked over, his expression was soft. Too soft. And when he caught me staring, he looked away. Back in our room, I brought it up. "Do you think Mira is acting a little strange?" Elijah shrugged. "She's always dramatic. It's her love language." I hesitated. "I overheard her today. She was on a call. It didn't sound like the florist. She was saying something about a transfer, about being set for life. Elijah raised an eyebrow, amused. You think your sister's running a heist at a vineyard wedding? I frowned. Don't patronize me. He sighed. I'm not. I just think maybe you're reading too much into things. You've been on edge lately. That hurt, because he was right. I had been on edge. But maybe I had reason to be. The day of the wedding arrived. Camille looked stunning. My brother beamed like the sun. And Mira, she played her role perfectly. Bright-eyed, perfectly dressed, emotionally present, but not too much. But I noticed her watching Elijah. Not when people were looking, not obviously, but often. And I noticed something else too. Elijah stopped reaching for my hand. He kept his phone in his pocket all day. And every time Mira walked by, something shifted in him. A flicker of guilt? Or something else entirely. That night was the rehearsal dinner. Mira gave a toast. She stood up in front of 80 guests, eyes misty, voice trembling as she spoke about love that feels like a lighthouse, and how lucky Jonah and Camille were to have found each other. Everyone clapped. My mother wiped away tears, and Elijah watched her the entire time. When I looked over, his expression was soft. Too soft. And when he caught me staring, he looked away. Back in our room, I brought it up. Do you think Mira is acting a little strange? Elijah shrugged again. She's always dramatic. It's her love language. I hesitated. I overheard her today. She was on a call. It didn't sound like the florist. She was saying something about a transfer, about being set for life. Elijah raised an eyebrow, amused. You think your sister's running a heist at a vineyard wedding? I frowned. Don't patronize me. He sighed again. I'm not. I just think maybe you're reading too much into things. You've been on edge lately. That hurt. Because he was right. I had been on edge. But maybe I had reason to be. The day of the wedding arrived. Camille looked stunning. My brother beamed like the sun. And Mira, she played her role perfectly. Bright-eyed, perfectly dressed, emotionally present, but not too much. But I noticed her watching Elijah. Not when people were looking. Not obviously, but often. And I noticed something else too. Elijah stopped reaching for my hand. He kept his phone in his pocket all day. And every time Mira walked by, something shifted in him. A flicker of guilt? Or something else entirely? At the reception, things unraveled further. I saw them talking outside under the string lights, close, smiling, whispering. When I approached, they stopped. Mira was just asking me about the surgical residency program, Elijah said quickly. Mira smiled. I might be considering a change in career. Medicine's always fascinated me. I laughed weakly. It didn't feel like a joke. Later that night, as we danced, I asked him directly, Do you think you're hiding something from me? Elijah blinked. What? With Mira, is there something you're not telling me? He looked stunned, but only for a second. Then he smiled, gently, dismissively. You're tired. Let's just enjoy the night. He kissed my forehead like I was a child. And I wanted to believe him. God, I wanted to believe him. But deep inside me, a truth I didn't want to admit was starting to rise. The next morning was the brunch. Guests gathered in the garden with mimosas and soft jazz. The sun was warm. The flowers bloomed. It should have been a dream. But Elijah was quiet, tense. He kept checking his phone, stepping away to take calls. When I asked, he just said, "Hospital stuff." But his answers were vague. His tone clipped. Something was coming. I could feel it. And then it did. As we sat beside my parents, eating scones and pretending to be a normal family, Elijah leaned in close and whispered, "We need to leave, now." I turned to him, stunned. "What are you talking about?" He looked at me, eyes empty, voice low. "You really didn't notice, did you?" He nodded slightly toward Mira, and then he said the words that shattered everything. "She's pregnant. She says it's mine." I stared at him, searching his face for any hint that it was a cruel joke, a prank, a lie, a mistake. But he looked away, jaw tight, eyes cold, like the truth had already buried him long before it reached me. I felt everything inside me drop. My stomach, my breath, my sense of safety. All of it gone. "Say that again?" I whispered. Mira says she's pregnant. She told me last night. Said she wasn't planning to, but..." He trailed off, rubbing the back of his neck like a nervous boy. "And you believe her?" I didn't know if I was whispering or screaming. All I could hear was blood pounding in my ears. He didn't answer, and that was my answer. The garden around us blurred. Guests were laughing, clinking glasses, leaning into sun-drenched conversations like we weren't dying in plain sight. I felt like I was watching it all from underwater. "You slept with my sister?" The words came out flat, detached, a corpse of a question. He nodded. Once. Then again. Then more than once. I stood up from the table, nearly tripping over the white linens and mimosa flutes. My mother looked up, confused. "Alina?" "I need some air. I'm not feeling well." Elijah followed me, of course, because cowards always do, right to the edge of the cliff they pushed you from. I walked blindly across the vineyard lawn, away from the crowd, until we were alone between the vines. "When?" I asked. My voice didn't sound like mine. He sighed. "About 6 months ago, at the hospital gala, I'd had too much to drink. We ran into each other. She kissed me first." I closed my eyes. Of course she did. "And you just went along with it?" I asked. "She said you didn't really love me," he said. That stopped me. My mouth opened, but no sound came out. "And you believed her?" He didn't answer. I stood there for what felt like hours. Numb. Hollow. I had loved him, truly, fully, with the kind of fragile, messy love that takes years to build. And he had thrown it away for someone who couldn't even tell the truth to herself. I didn't cry, not right away. Some betrayals are so deep, your body refuses to fill them all at once. I left him standing there in the vines, walked back to the estate, packed my things, didn't say goodbye to anyone, not to my brother, not to my parents, not to Mira. She came to my hotel room later that evening, wearing white, always white, like she was playing purity on a stage. I didn't let her in, but I opened the door wide enough to look her in the eyes. "You always had everything," she said softly. Her voice trembled just enough to sound sincere. "I didn't want to hurt you. I wanted to feel like I was enough." I stared at her, blinking slowly. "You didn't hurt me, Mira. And I meant it. You destroyed me." Her face faltered. "I'm sorry," she whispered. "No, you're not," I said. "You're sorry I found out. You're sorry I won't let you manipulate your way back in." That night, I booked a flight. I moved back to Seattle, found a small apartment with too many stairs and a leaky faucet. It was perfect because it was mine. I didn't tell anyone I was coming. I didn't answer Elijah's calls. I didn't look at the wedding photos or the text or the long apology email Mira sent 6 weeks later telling me she miscarried and she hoped we could reconnect someday. I never replied. Because here's the truth. Some endings aren't meant to be healed. Some wounds don't close. They just scar over. And sometimes the most radical kind of love is choosing yourself. I still walk alone most mornings. I still reach for the second coffee mug sometimes, forgetting he's not there. But there's a quiet now, a silence that used to terrify me. Now, it keeps me safe. People ask why I'm still single, why I don't talk to my sister, why I flinch when people say forever. I just smile because they wouldn't understand. Not until they've watched the person they love walk straight into the arms of someone who shares their blood. Not until they've learned that sometimes betrayal doesn't come with a knife. It comes with a smile, a baby announcement, and a wedding dress. And me? I may not be the kind of woman that turns heads at parties. I may never have Mira's charm. But I have something now that she'll never touch again. Peace. And that's more than enough.